In the heart of Cambodia, where the dense emerald canopy stretches endlessly, swallowing the sunlight and muting the world in a hush of insects and distant animal calls, a young boy disappeared. He was only 11, and his name, soon to be whispered with awe and disbelief, would become a symbol of wild resilience and the uncanny bond between human and animal. This is the story of how a child, alone and lost in the unforgiving jungle, learned to survive by becoming something altogether new, a student of the wild, guided by the most unlikely teachers, monkeys. It began on a day that should have been like any other. The village lay at the edge of the forest, where the line between civilization and chaos is drawn only by the thin footpaths trodden by generations. The boy, bright-eyed and curious, knew these woods. He'd played in their shadows, listened to the birdsong, and watched the monkeys leap overhead. But on that fateful day, a misstep, a moment's distraction, carried him deeper into the green labyrinth than he'd ever dared to go. And then, suddenly, he was alone. Night fell quickly in the jungle, the sky swallowed by a tangle of branches. The air grew heavy, thick with fear, and the scent of damp earth. Alone, the boy called for help, his voice vanishing into the dark. The forest answered with its own language, rustling leaves, distant shrieks, the low rumble of unseen creatures. Hunger gnawed at him, thirst burned in his throat, and every shadow seemed to crawl with danger. As the days stretched on, something remarkable happened. The boy, desperate and driven by instinct, began to watch the monkeys. They moved with confidence through a world that terrified him. He saw how they searched for fruit, plucked leaves, and drank from the dew that pooled in hollows. He followed them, mimicking their movements, hoping to learn the secrets of their survival. In the mornings, light filtered through the high canopy, painting the forest floor in shifting patterns. The monkeys would awaken, stretching, chattering softly among themselves. The boy learned their habits, how they tested fruit with cautious nibbles, how they avoided certain plants and insects. He watched as they dug up roots, broke open nuts, and drank from streams hidden beneath the undergrowth. Sometimes it seemed as if the monkeys acknowledged his presence, casting curious glances his way, but never fleeing. In his isolation, they became his companions, his guides. Hunger was a relentless shadow, but the boy learned to quiet it. He sampled the same fruits the monkeys ate: tart berries, wild figs, the soft flesh of mangoes. When his stomach churned with doubt, he waited and watched. If the monkeys returned to the same food day after day, so would he. He learned to drink by cupping his hands beneath dripping leaves, just as the monkeys lapped up water. When it rained, he'd tilt his head back, catching drops on his tongue. Imitating the playful gestures of his new mentors, the jungle was not without peril. Poisonous plants, venomous snakes, and prowling predators haunted the shadows. But the monkeys, ever vigilant, taught him caution. When they scattered in alarm, the boy froze. When they fell silent, he listened, heart pounding, until the danger passed. They led him to hidden shelters, low-hanging branches, hollowed trunks, where he could rest, curled up and shivering, but alive. Days blurred into weeks. The boy's skin darkened beneath the sun, his body grew thin, and his eyes sharpened, growing attuned to the smallest movements. His voice, once loud with fear, grew quiet, replaced by a silent understanding of the forest's rhythms. The monkeys, once strangers, became his family. He laughed at their antics, learned to read their moods, and found comfort in their presence. At night, huddled beneath the stars, he listened to their breathing and felt, for the first time since his ordeal began, a fragile sense of safety. His story echoes others, like Maykul Coroseo Acuna, the Chilean tourist lost in Bolivia's Madidi National Park, whose survival depended on the kindness of a troop of monkeys. Maykul recounted how the animals dropped fruit in front of him and led him to safe water, guiding him through the dangers of the Amazon. There is also John Sabunya, the Ugandan boy who lived among vervet monkeys for 3 years, surviving by adopting their diet and movements, his humanity woven into the habits of his wild companions. These tales, scattered across continents and years, reveal the astonishing adaptability of the human spirit and the mysterious compassion of the wild. In Cambodia, the search for the lost boy stretched on. His family, their faces etched with worry and hope, called his name into the forest. Rescuers combed the undergrowth, their voices and footsteps lost in the immensity of green. Days passed, and hope began to wane. And then, against all odds, the forest released its secret. The boy was found, thin, battered, but alive. His rescuers were astonished by his condition. Malnourished, yes, but clear-eyed and alert. He spoke little, his words slow and halting, as if the language of the jungle still clung to him. When asked how he survived, he gestured to the trees, mimicking the movements of monkeys, showing how he climbed, foraged, and drank. He described a world governed by instinct, where survival depended on watching, learning, and trusting the wisdom of the wild. The story of the boy who survived by copying monkeys is more than a tale of endurance. It is a testament to the thin boundary between human and animal, civilization, and nature. It reminds us that, stripped of comfort and certainty, we are not so different from the creatures that share our world. In the depths of the jungle, where every day is a battle for survival, ancient instincts rise to the surface. We remember how to listen, how to learn, and how to hope. Today, the boy's story lives on, a legend whispered among villagers, retold by rescuers, and marveled at by those who hear it. It is a story of fear and courage, of isolation and unexpected kinship. It is a reminder that, even in the darkest places, there is wisdom to be found, if we are willing to watch and learn. In the heart of the wild, where the line between man and animal blurs, survival is written not just in strength, but in the humility to become a part of something greater, a living, breathing world, ancient and enduring. And sometimes, salvation comes in the form of a monkey's outstretched hand, a lesson in resilience, and the indomitable will to live.